need to strengthen the political parties, and with such a declaration, Africa would be at the vanguard of bipartisan or political parties initiatives in Africa. Latin American political parties are forced to engage in a similar debate, and that is a debate which we are forced to engage in from now. And I would like to share with you that in Latin America we are confronted with great challenges, and majority of the democratic transitions were incomplete because they were limited to elections, and they did not dare to go beyond that to accept peaceful changes in government, and because it's very dangerous and populist, because they want to sell to citizens unrealistic ideas, and that is the situation of charismatic leaders who try to consolidate the power in their hands to the point of choking their societies. And as is the case in my country, Mexico, where separation of powers has been eliminated in favor of an executive arm that controls everything. And when a political party controls the judicial power, the legislative and executive, you can imagine the dangers ahead. And we need to defend and protect the electoral bodies, and we must avoid the control of the country's affairs by a one-party system, and we need to give place to avoid a situation of corruption and a government which is in constant touch or in collaboration with organized crime, and many political and some other political parties also have been known to have contact with terrorist organizations. And I would like to say that we have pursued the struggle in the defense of democracy and the nation, and in spite of the constant attacks waged and assault waged against us and our families. And I would like to tell all of you that this summit is fundamental, is essential for to the strengthening integrity, and the same thing is happening in Colombia, Venezuela, and Nicaragua. This democratic backsliding should not be encouraged. Democracy should be equality, space, opportunity, growth, and development for all. And for this, what we would like is for you to have courage, to have a character and determination. And nobody will stop you from what you want to do. This is the moment to show determination and to drive the African continent to establish a democracy over the entire continent, and where we know that the political parties are the instruments, and this meeting is essential, and we need a structured dialogue for Africa, Europe, Latin America, and all the political parties should work and thinking in harmony about harmonic and the institutions of the Republic, and particularly working for peace in the entire world, and supporting this initiative of political parties in Africa. We support this initiative of President John Dramani Mahama, because this initiative will be the historic inflection point for the strengthening of Africa, and so that we can promote the political participation, the inclusion of women and the young people. And we politicians should have a vision for the present and the future. And we politicians are called to defend our people with character and resolve. And we should a politician. Unfortunately, most politicals think about the next election, whereas a statesman thinks about the next generation. And politics has to be done differently in Africa, Europe, Latin America, and I am really pleased, and it is an honor to know this wonderful country, and we are with you. And from now, we will fight for democracy, for justice, and for equality. And long live Ghana, and long live Africa.
Gracias. And now, ladies and gentlemen, we move to our last statement before our keynote address. Please warmly welcome the Deputy Prime Minister of Ethiopia and Vice President of the Prosperity Party. Welcome, His Excellency Ibrahim Adem Farah.
Your Excellency, the Vice President of Ghana, Professor Jani Nana, Your Excellency, Carlos Manuel, President of Sao Tome and Principe, Excellencies, distinguished delegates, Excellencies, ambassadors, ladies and gentlemen. First of all, on behalf of the President of the Prosperity Party, His Excellency Dr. Abiy Ahmed, and the government and the people of Ethiopia, I extend our deepest sympathies and heartfelt condolences to the government and the people of Ghana on the passing of your heroes, including esteemed Ministers of Defense and Environment. We share in your grief during this difficult time and stand with you in solidarity. May their souls rest in eternal peace. It's a profound honor to address this African Political Party Summit in the vibrant city of Accra, Ghana, a beacon of democracy and stability in West Africa. I extend my sincere gratitude to our gracious hosts and organizers for convening this important initiative. The theme of our summit, from politics to prosperity, strengthening inter-party collaboration for Africa's development and economic transformation, is a call to action, a recognition that the future of our continent depends on the choices we, as political leaders, make today. For a long time, politics in many of our countries has been driven by power struggles, short-term agendas, and rivals draining national energy. We must move beyond zero-sum thinking, seeing political parties not as ends in themselves, but as instruments for inclusive, prosperous, and peaceful nations. In Ethiopia, this shift has been central to our political reform. The Prosperity Party was not born merely as a merger of organizations. It was the conscious choice to replace narrow identity politics with a unifying multinational vision. We anchored that vision in Medemar, loosely translated as synergy, our guiding principle articulated by His Excellency Dr. Abiy Ahmed, President of the Prosperity Party and Prime Minister of Ethiopia. Madamar represents our journey toward holistic prosperity, built through unity, mutual contribution, and a collective purpose. This is not just rhetoric. Ethiopia's constitution and electoral mandate give the Prosperity Party the right to fill 100% of executive positions. Yet, in the interest of national unity and democratic consolidation, we have chosen a different path. We have included leaders from opposition parties in the government, assigning 4 ministers and 3 state ministers from the opposition parties, and involving them in the government's process at all administrative levels. We did this not because it was easy, but because it was right, because inclusion builds national consensus, and national consensus builds unity, stability, and sustainable development. Beyond this, Ethiopia has established the Political Parties Joint Council, bringing together all legally registered political parties, ruling and opposition alike, into a permanent platform for dialogue, consultation, and consensus building. It has been instrumental in fostering mutual understanding, diffusing tensions, and keeping the national interests above partisan divides. To ensure inclusivity, we have placed women's empowerment at the heart of our national agenda, not as a symbolic gesture, but as a driver of national transformation. Ethiopia's federal cabinet is now 50% women, with women leading key democratic institutions, the judiciary, and the electoral board. For us, gender parity is a non-negotiable principle of governance. Similarly, youth political participation is vital for a country's long-term development, as it brings fresh perspectives, innovative ideas, and a deeper understanding of the needs of a large demographic, ensuring policies reflect the whole population. Involving youth in leadership builds inclusivity and resilience. Ethiopia exemplifies this with 49% of leadership positions across all administrative tiers held by young people, showcasing a strong commitment and strategic investment in the nation's future. Our guiding vision has also allowed us to institutionalize policy continuity beyond political cycles. We have prioritized homegrown reforms to achieve sustainable development and absolute sovereignty. Our flagship agenda, From Dependency to Productivity, aims to free millions from aid dependence and unlock the productive potential of our people. But vision alone is not enough. Consensus is critical in a diverse society like Ethiopia. Our government has taken significant steps to foster a genuine, inclusive national dialogue, working tirelessly to bridge historical divides and build a common understanding of our nation's challenges and opportunities. Our conviction is simple. Prosperity that is not shared is neither sustainable nor just. That is why we have worked to ensure that growth reaches every citizen. We have increased access to education and healthcare, launched development programs to harness untapped potential across all sectors, and implemented urban corridor development to create integrated and efficient urban connectivity while promoting economic growth. Additionally, we have designed and executed targeted homegrown social protection programs for the most vulnerable members of our community. Through the Green Legacy Initiative, we have planted over 48 billion trees, an achievement that carries economic, environmental, and symbolic weight. The lessons we have drawn are not uniquely Ethiopian, they are African lessons. We must move beyond personality-driven politics to build strong, value-based institutions. We must collaborate with rivals when the national interest demands it. And we must measure our political success not by electoral victories, but the tangible improvements we deliver to our citizens' lives. To this end, we African political parties must focus on three strategic imperatives. First, promote continuous inter-party dialogue by institutionalizing platforms where ruling and opposition parties work together on peace, security, and economic reform proactively, not only in crisis. Second, champion a genuine youth agenda, ensuring access to education, entrepreneurship, and political participation, making politics a space young people can shape. Third, lead the green and digital transition, leapfrogging traditional development paths by harnessing technology, renewable energy, and innovation to build competitive, sustainable economies. I am optimistic about Africa's future because a new generation of leaders and citizens refuse mediocrity. They demand integrity, inclusivity, and results. By strengthening political parties with vision, principled leadership, and a commitment to inclusive development, we can exceed these expectations. The real question is whether we, as leaders, have the courage to put collective progress above narrow interests and commit to politics that unites rather than divides. History will remember not our titles, but whether we left nations stronger, societies fairer, and our continent more confident. Let us choose dialogue over division, inclusion over exclusion, and partnership over rivalry. Because if we can do that, from politics to prosperity will not just be the theme of a summit, it will be the lived reality of our people. I thank you.
Your Excellency, we thank you. Ladies and gentlemen, on March 7, 2025, in Accra, President John Dramani Mahama launched the Africa Political Parties Initiative, calling for unity and cross-party collaboration toward a prosperous, integrated, and peaceful Africa. Ladies and gentlemen, take a look at the road to this very moment, which we now know is the African Political Party Summit.
Is the crisis of political leadership. While democracy has expanded, one of the greatest challenges facing Africa today is the crisis of political leadership. While democracy has expanded across the continent over the past 3 decades, governance has not necessarily been strengthened.
Across Africa, the winds of change are rising. Our people are demanding more integrity, more inclusion, more leadership. In recent years, the continent has faced deep political unrest. Among them are military takeovers, broken promises, lost trust. But in every crisis lies an opportunity. Africa's future will be built by new systems. It will be shaped by voices that dare to challenge, to reform, to lead. Welcome to the African Political Party Summit 2025, a bold gathering of political leaders, party reformers, youth visionaries, and governance experts from across the continent. Taking place in Accra, Ghana, the summit is a turning point, not just another meeting, but a continental movement. We'll tackle the toughest challenges and celebrate our wins, from intra-party reform, gender equality, inclusion, and the future of youth in politics. We are not waiting to be included. We are leading the change. It's time for courage. Time to rebuild the social contract. Let's come together across all. Join the movement.
If we are to chart a new course for Africa, one that moves beyond instability, beyond economic stagnation, and beyond political brinksmanship, then we as political leaders must be the first to change. We must recognize that our duty is not to partisan victory alone, but to the advancement of our nations. We must reject the kind of politics that thrives on polarization, misinformation, and the deliberate obstruction of progress simply because it does not originate from our own political party. We must make a fundamental choice. Do we want to be remembered as leaders who served our people, or as politicians who merely served our political parties? This is a question we must ask ourselves.
Raise your voice, shape Africa's political future.
Benedicta said, she is a mother to us all. She lives and breathes the life we want, even though we know that it is not so easy. But she has really laid the path for us to believe that, yes, indeed, women's voices on this continent are needed. Ladies and gentlemen, allow me to bring to the stage the one and the only Vice President of the Republic of Ghana, Professor Nana Jane Opoku Agyeman. Please, a resounding round of applause as she gets on stage. Please don't stop until she is on stage. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome her warmly as she makes her keynote address to this auspicious auditorium, this auspicious room. Please, one more time, welcome the Vice President of the Republic of Ghana.
Thank you very much. Please take your seats. Your Excellency, the President of Sao Tome and Principe, Your Excellency, the Deputy Prime Minister of Ethiopia, distinguished ladies and gentlemen, please allow me to refer to the protocol established and to say good morning. Good morning. Thank you very much. On behalf of the government and people of Ghana, I welcome all of you warmly to Accra. And I bring you the kindest regards from His Excellency, the President of this country, John Dramani Mahama. It is an honor for Ghana to be the convener of this historic gathering, where political leaders and thinkers have met to dialogue and to chart a new course for Africa. We meet, however, as you know, and as you have expressed, at a time when Ghana is still reeling from tragedy. Barely a week ago, we lost 8 outstanding sons in a terrible military helicopter crash. The victims passed while fulfilling their duties. The greatest honor we can accord their memory is to continue the mission they embrace to build a Ghana and an Africa worth of the dreams of its people. This gathering is a defining moment because it includes delegations from more than 30 African countries. We are joined by sitting heads of state, deputy prime ministers, ministers, former presidents, veteran statesmen, and distinguished representatives from academia, civil society, and international institutions. Ghana's own democratic journey underscores the importance of our mission here. A true measure of democracy lies in peaceful elections and their aftermath, as well as the ability of rivals to become partners in the common good. Over the decades, our political parties have contested fiercely at the ballot box. But we have also collaborated on policies of national importance and worked together even in moments of crisis. Democracy must be adversarial only in the marketplace of ideas. This is because power is transient while the nation endures. And partisan victories mean very little, if any, if they are achieved at the expense of national cohesion. The theme for this summit, From Politics to Prosperity, speaks to the reality that politics, when divorced from the pursuit of well-being, becomes empty. Our people do not ask us to perform politics for its own sake. They deserve politics that translates into food security, decent jobs, functional schools, accessible health care, efficient infrastructure, security, and justice. They expect us to focus not just on the next election, but more importantly, on the next generation. Our theme challenges us to rise above narrow interest. It invites us to adopt the long view and to work together even with our strongest opponents for the sake of policies and projects. And ideally, all of these should outlast our own political careers. Over the next 3 days, this summit will give us the opportunity to address difficult but necessary questions, including how can ruling parties and opposition ensure stability during elections and transitions, especially in fragile democracies? How can we craft national development plans that are respected by successive governments, regardless of political identity? How can we foster political cooperation across borders to address regional threats, from violent extremism to climate change, or from illicit trade to pandemics? We will not agree on everything, but if we can agree on the fundamentals that Africa's peace, unity, and well-being are non-negotiable, then we will already have taken a decisive step forward. We must envisage and work towards an Africa that, when united in vision, can defy the odds. We saw it when nations joined to create the Africa Continental Free Trade Area, a momentous step towards a single market of 1.4 billion people. But the agreement will not succeed on the strength of treaties alone. It requires the political will across party lines to harmonize policies, remove barriers, and open opportunities for trade and investment. This is why this summit is important. We are here to signal that African politics can be more than a struggle for power. it can be a framework for progress. One of the most enduring legacies of this summit will be the official adoption of the implementation framework for the African Political Parties Initiative, that is the APPI, a platform to institutionalize inter-party dialogue, build capacity, and sustain cooperation. The APPI will give our parties a permanent mechanism to exchange ideas, to resolve disputes constructively also, and to collaborate on our shared priorities. In short, it will ensure that from politics to prosperity becomes a steady journey, not a passing slogan. On behalf of the Republic of Ghana, I thank the Africa Governance Center and all partner organizations for making this gathering possible. I thank each one of you for your presence, for your solidarity, and your commitment. Distinguished ladies and gentlemen, it is now my honor to declare the 2025 African Political Parties Summit open. May your deliberations be candid, your cooperation enduring, and your vision for Africa bold and uncompromising. Thank you very much.
Madam Vice President, if I can ask you to remain center stage for us for our official photos. And may I quickly ask our distinguished guests to kindly join her up on stage. All our distinguished speakers, representatives here from various governments, if you could join Madam Vice President on stage for the official family photograph. Thank you very much for honoring this invitation to join her up on stage. And after this, I'll kindly ask us to remain seated while we observe the signing of MOU between ICAPP and COPPAL. Please kindly remain seated. Please kindly remain seated at this time. We're only taking photographs, after which we have the MOU signing, which will then seal the opening ceremony closed. Sir, can you go just stand next to Madam Vice President for us? Thank you. Ms. Benedicta, can you please come and stand in front of the gentleman for us? Yes, so they need to give us a double. Yeah, so they need to give us a double. We won't see you, so you've got to move to the other side. So if you're here representing the country, yes, so kindly go to the last line. Go to the last line, kindly for me. Kindly, sir, please. Thank you very much. Thank you. Thank you. Please go to the, they won't see you from behind the podium. Please stand here for us, right here. Just stand right here for me. If you stand behind the podium, they won't see you. Okay. Thank you very much. Photographers, please do well. Just 5 more seconds, please, for these photos. 5 more seconds, please. Let's stand still for 5 more seconds. Mr. Prime Minister, kindly join us, please. Yes, please. Madam Vice President, 5 more seconds. Thank you. Thank you very much. Please go back to your seats kindly with respect, humility. May I kindly ask you to go back to your seats for this last part where we sign an MOU with ICAPP and COPPAL. Please take your seats. Please resume your seats. Distinguished ladies and gentlemen, respected speakers, excellencies, please resume your seats as we prepare for the signing of the MOU. If I may ask my colleagues to set the stage up for the signing of the MOU. Please remain seated for this last part, which will be followed by the national anthem of the Republic of Ghana before Her Excellency the Vice President departs. So please regain your seats. Please remain seated for the signing of the MOU between COPPAL and ICAPP, after which Her Excellency will depart. Please remain seated. Please remain seated. may I kindly have the representatives of ICAAP, and COPAL for the signing of the MOU. Representative of ICAPP and COPAL for the signing of the MOU. May I have the representatives of ICAPP and COPAL for the signing of the MOU. Our colleagues will assist with this momentous occasion. May we kindly have the MOU as well. This is a great moment for political parties around the world. If we can kindly have our special signatories. Distinguished ladies and gentlemen, two very important announcements for you. As we move to the last part of our opening ceremony, there will be a welcome dinner tonight at the State Banquet Hall. Transportation will be made available for all delegates. The welcome dinner will be happening tonight after the deliberations here at the Conference Center at the Banquet Hall. Also, tomorrow at 3 p.m., delegates will join the leadership of the organization here to pay a courtesy call on His Excellency, the President, who was unable to join us for obvious reasons. At 3 p.m., delegates will be paying a courtesy call on His Excellency, the President of the Republic of Ghana, tomorrow 3 p.m. And now the MOU has been signed. Ladies and gentlemen, a round of applause. A great moment for political parties, a great moment for our union, and a great moment for our collective progress. Another round of applause. And now ICAP, taking their turn to sign their MOU with the African Governance Center and Africa Political Parties Initiative. And these MOUs, ladies and gentlemen, are representative of collaborations, shared ambitions, and shared learning to move the continent forward. Ladies and gentlemen, immediately after this, we've got our first panel from Politics to Prosperity, Strengthening Inter-Party Collaboration. And the first panel happens immediately after this. The MOU with ICAP has been signed. Ladies and gentlemen, a round of applause for this historic moment. Thank you. And may I humbly ask that you take your seats as this marks the closing of the opening ceremony and the beginning of the African Political Parties Summit. Another round of applause. Ladies and gentlemen, in alignment with what was previously announced as paying tribute to our fallen heroes, in alignment with what was previously discussed as using this opportunity to establish what our fallen heroes would have wanted us to do, we kindly ask and humbly ask for your eyes for 45 seconds as we take a look at this video. to prosperity, strengthening inter-party collaboration for Africa's development and economic transformation. And while our team gets ready to set it up, I would kindly like to ask for a choral performance from the Envoys Choir, who are here today to provide us with not only a soundtrack to our lives today, but with hope and inspiration. Envoys Choir, thank you.
Sweet consent unite, in sweet consent unite, in sweet consent unite, your praise to God. In sweet consent unite, in sweet consent unite, in sweet consent unite, your praise to God. To God on high. To God on high. To God on high. To God on high. To God we praise now. Songs of adoration and praise, adoration and praise. In sweet consent unite, in sweet consent unite, in sweet consent unite, your praise to God. In sweet consent unite, in sweet consent unite, in sweet consent unite, your praise to God. To God on high. To God on high. To God on high. To God on high. To God we praise now. Songs of adoration and praise, adoration and Raise up your voice, lift the song.
Thank you, Envoys Choir. And now, ladies and gentlemen, a cultural performance that depicts the culture, the beauty, the history, and the power of Africa. Ladies and gentlemen, and now are you ready to deliberate? I need a response from you. We're ready to change the continent of Africa. I need a response from you. Thank you. I can only hear one voice from here. Thank you so much, sir, for all your support. When we knew that His Excellency the President will not be able to join us, it was heartbreaking, but definitely not as equal to the heartbreak that the nation went through. So we were joined by Her Excellency the Vice President. But when we were told that the President of Sao Tome was going to join us, that pain and that void was suddenly filled. And so we get to have a president in our midst, which is a great, great honor for us. Ladies and, yes, a round of applause. Ladies and gentlemen, from politics to prosperity, strengthening inter-party collaboration for Africa's development and economic transformation. Before the panel joins us on stage, it is with great honor, respect, and indeed, a lot of what I would like to call admiration, for me to call to the podium to share a few words, His Excellency, the President of the Democratic Republic of Sao Tome and Principe, to share a few words, a voice of change, a voice of the people, a voice of Africa. Your Excellency, the President, it gives us great honor to invite you to share a few words ahead of the panel.
Please have a seat. Good morning. Firstly, I would like to once again join my voice and extend my deepest condolences to all the families, friends, authorities, and people of Ghana for the tragedy happened last week that cost the life of 8 African sons serving their country, Ghana. Distinguished and Excellencies, head of delegations here present. Distinguished delegates, ladies and gentlemen. It's a great honor to take the floor at this important gathering, which brings together African leaderships around a theme that is as urgent as it is central to our collective future. Let me begin by congratulating the organizers of the African Political Party Summit for this visionary and much-needed initiative. The theme is very relevant at a time of political and economic transformation of the continent. Our presence here today is a clear indication that we acknowledge the critical juncture at which our continent finds itself. Africa is experiencing an historic and generational crossroads. We are faced with a new generation of Africans, young, informed, connected, and determined, who are asking more from their leaders, demanding results, justice, opportunity, and dignity. The common challenges Africa is facing: a growing youth population, persistent poverty, rapid urbanization, climate change, and institutional fragility. The history of our nation shows that political parties played a central role in the struggle for independence and self-determination. However, over time, many of these parties became closed structures, dominated by elite interests, lacking transparency, and in many cases disconnected from the people. It is time to change. It is in this new context, political parties are called upon today to play a much deeper role than that to which they may have grown accustomed. The role of parties must evolve from mere instruments of gaining power to true platforms for promoting the common good. It is no longer sufficient to organize elections and compete for power. Political parties must become engines of national transformation, drivers of sustainable economy development, and warrantors of ethical and inclusive governance. It is time to rethink the role of political parties in building resilient economies, promoting social justice, and strengthening state institutions. Good governance and development do not happen by chance. They are the outcome of clear vision, sound policies, and the ability to mobilize people around shared goals. And this must begin with the political parties themselves. Promote industrial, agricultural, and technological policies appropriate to national contexts. Foster education, innovation, youth entrepreneurship, and digital inclusion. Advocate for a new kind of party, a party that listens, that serves, that is accountable. A party that attracts the best talent, that includes young people and ensures gender equality. Underline that parties should be effective mediators between the state and society. Cooperation between African political parties must be strengthened in order to share best practices, learn more one another, and build a coherent continental vision. Highlight the importance of parties with a Pan-African vision that contribute to the economic integration of the continent. In São Tomé and Príncipe, we have embraced this challenge with courage and conviction. As a small island development state, we have faced numerous structural constraints. Yet, through political stability, civic engagement, and democratic resilience, we have made significant progress. Indeed, we have lived the journey from liberation struggle to fragile democracy and finally to a functioning and vibrant multi-party system. With all its imperfections, our democracy remains one of the most stable and peaceful on the African continent. But we are not immune to the pressures facing the continent. I extend my solidarity to all African nations to this journey, and my belief that if we get the politics right, everything else will follow. I thank you very much.
As Excellency Villanova has taken the seat, I would like to now also call on Excellency Ibrahim Adem Farah to join us on this panel, Deputy Prime Minister, Ethiopia, and Vice President of the Prosperity Party, and also to call Excellency Jeff Radebe, please join us, Special Envoy of President Cyril Ramaphosa, please join us. Kindly also, can I have the former Prime Minister of La Côte d'Ivoire, Excellency Pascal Affi N'Guessan, if you are here, kindly join us. And Your Excellency Martin Sigele, former Prime Minister of Central African Republic, to join us on the stage. Thank you very much. Ladies and gentlemen, please allow me to insist that this panel sets the tone for the summit, highlighting the strategic role of political parties in shaping Africa's development path. And once again, the title of the panel is From Politics to Prosperity, Strengthening Inter-Party Collaboration for Africa's Development and Economic Transformation. Excellencies, good afternoon to each and every one of you from the morning. Thank you very much. All right. Excellencies, you're welcome to this conversation, which I promise will be short and sweet, as I know many of you have a few courtesy calls to pay. I'd like to start off with an umbrella question, if I may. And the question is, how can political parties be positioned so that they can champion long-term national development plans and not just electoral agendas? Excellency, we'll start off with you.
Thank you very much. The question, as you said, is a real umbrella. And it crosses all the political parties. Let me start saying there is no democracy if there is no political party. That's to point out the very important role the political parties have to play. Most of our African countries, we come from behind, 50 years over, and we are used to liberation political parties. That was one period. That the parties had a structure proper to liberate and to start development of the country. Today, what we have? Globalization, social media everywhere, youth. That most of the time we migrate to find conditions that they don't find in our countries for the moment. But coming back to the political parties, we cannot really think to structure the political party to win elections only. The program of the political party must be connected with social and economic issues of a country where we are playing. I say that why? When you look to the political party, you have the direction of the political party. We play to win the elections. We won the elections. That direction moves to the government of the country. So you must create new leaders inside the party. Are those new leaders connected with the members of the party? Are those members connected with the people during this period of mandate? What will happen? We will have new political party winning the next election because there happened a disconnection between that party in power with his members. This is often happening in all of our countries. This is the experience for my country. Maybe we can listen to others, but out of this conference, at the end, it would be very important, and I'm sure it will be, the deliberations, the recommendations, and we can strengthen between our political parties new way to look to the political African parties.
Thank you very much, Your Excellency Villanova. I asked the same question to you, Excellency Farah, about political parties ensuring that you're not only positioned for that moment in time at that electoral period, but also as generations come and go. Sir.
At the outset, I would like to thank the organizers for the invitation to join this esteemed presidential panel. The panels focus on the role of political parties in shaping development and economic transformation is both timely and relevant. Political parties are central actors in the governance and development trajectories of nations. And I believe that political parties should play 5 critical roles in shaping development and economic transformation in Africa. The first one is the presence of clear dream, vision, and a strategic plan. Political parties are fundamental to development when they offer a well-defined dream, vision, and a strategic plan for the nation. In this regard, the Prosperity Party has articulated a vision of holistic prosperity that aspires to transform Ethiopia into peaceful, prosperous, and inclusive nation. The second role should be sharing the dream, vision, and the strategic plans with the members and the public. A dream or a vision is only as powerful as its ability to inspire and mobilize. And successful parties are skilled at communicating their vision and goals and inspiring people to participate. And the members of the party should serve as role models, sharing and implementing the party's vision and plan. At the Prosperity Party, we currently have 16.5 million members. In every development initiative, we give a clear mission to our members to be at the forefront, leading others both in attitude and action. The third role of the political parties in shaping development and economic transformation should be effectively mobilizing domestic resources. Development and economic transformation require efficient mobilization of resources. But most African countries primarily concentrate on mobilizing resources from abroad or from external sources, which is not a sustainable approach. Political parties must drive change in efficiently utilizing domestic resources. As a Prosperity Party, we have endeavored to align our efforts with this direction and have gained significant benefits. For instance, we have constructed the largest hydroelectric power dam, which has the capacity to generate 5,125 megawatts by the domestic resources of our country, without any external source of fund. And it's currently near to completion. We are expecting to inaugurate it within 2 months. So congratulations for all of you. It's not only for Ethiopia, but it's also for all African countries. We have already started exporting electricity to our neighboring countries, and we will further strengthen that in the future after the inauguration of the great Ethiopian Renaissance Dam. The other example is we have an initiative called Education for the Generation. Its aim is to improve schools, starting from kindergarten, primary schools, secondary schools, so that they can be conducive for quality teaching learning process. So within 2 years, we have been able to mobilize more than $1 billion from the public, not from government budget, from the public. So I can take as an example other initiatives as well. The fourth role of the political parties should be building competent institutions and leaders.
Right.
Strong institutions and capable leadership are the backbone of sustainable development. To effectively shape development and economic transformation, a political party must be committed to building strong, efficient, effective, accountable, and corruption-free institutions. Taking this into account, Ethiopia has been implementing institutional reform, including civil service reform, and we have been continuously providing trainings to our leadership at various levels of administrative tiers and the civil servant as well. The fifth role of the political parties should be ensuring effective synergy and cooperation and collaboration for common goals, both domestically and across borders. Development and economic transformation require collective action. This includes cooperation between different government institutions, between political parties, and among African countries. The Prosperity Party has promoted its Madamar synergy philosophy as a core principle for national, regional, and international developments. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Your Excellency. Thank you very much for that extensive the description. I like the 5 pillars and the examples that go with it. So that leads me to jump into our second question. And I think, Honorable Jeff Radebe, you'd be perfectly positioned for that. When it goes into thinking about your own experience, you know, what mechanisms have you realized, have you learned, have you perhaps put into action that can work well in holding parties accountable throughout the governance cycle? Excellency Farah mentioned some examples. What, in your experience, would be a way to hold parties accountable? Excellency Radebe. I think we can, yeah, thank you very much.
Thanks. Am I audible?
Yes.
Well, take into account the history of South Africa, especially during the dark days of apartheid. Political activity was a banned activity in our country, as the main political parties, like the one I represent, the ANC, was for more than 30 years a banned organization. We are not even allowed to use the word ANC, let alone Nelson Mandela. So this political culture in South Africa of entrenching democracy is embedded in the DNA of many South Africans. So that's why even our constitutional architect indicates that the voting that happens largely in South Africa is via political parties. So political parties, they play a very key role in directing what the future of a country must be. So we can be able to say that we need to hold all political parties accountable, not only for the democracy that we have, but of entrenching a democracy to bring prosperity to our people. That is why I would like to endorse the points that have been made by the previous speakers, that political freedom is good, but it is not enough to change the lives of us as Africans. That is why this topic of this summit today resonates very well with many Africans, that we need to move from politics to focus on prosperity. That the child in Guinea-Bissau, here in Accra, cannot eat politics, but we want those children to have a basic education. That is why in our country, in South Africa, education is the topmost priority of all priorities. That's where most money from the national budget is dedicated to. We talk about the lessons that we are learning from Ghana, remembering those words of Kwame Nkrumah, the founder of the African Vision, that we need to seek political freedom first before any others come. But I think, as I was saying in my opening remarks, that we've got a lot of plans in the world, not only in South Africa. We have United Nations Sustainable Development Goals. We have the AU Agenda 2063, the Africa we want. We have our own National Development Plan in South Africa. But the test of all these plans is how does it impact to the ordinary person. So that's why I would like to promote very ferociously to all delegates who are here and all those Africans who are watching this, that we need to focus our attention away from politics to the economic emancipation of African people.
Thank you so much, Your Excellency Radebe. Son Excellence Zigele, je voudrais vous demander la question en français, si c'est bon pour vous. En français? Absolument, absolument. Son Excellence, la confiance dans les institutions politiques décline. Décline, la confiance, ça décline partout en Afrique.
All over in Africa. And so I'd like to know how our African political parties, how can they reverse this trend? Thank you.
Be understood by our own compatriots. Je voudrais d'abord présenter mes condoléances au peuple du Ghana.
Merci.
Pour
to the people of Ghana for this terrible helicopter crash that happened some days before this convening. And my sympathy is with the people of Ghana, because despite this national mourning, you have been able to convene this meeting. I'd like to also thank the organizers of this conference for inviting me from the heart of Central Africa, from the Central African Republic, to come all the way to Ghana. Since for 27 years now, I haven't been in Ghana. That was the last time I was in Ghana, 1998. I came to Ghana. I was younger. I had a full head of hair. And now I arrived 27 years later in Ghana, and I'm discovering something new. It's not by mistake. The situation of political parties in Africa is contrasted. It's a lot of contrasts. There are countries that have had different political transitions. I think in Ghana we are the 9th power change. This means that the Ghanaian people trust political parties. And there are other countries where political parties themselves or the environment has made it that political parties today are faced with difficult situations. And for all of us who are in this room, I'd like for us to remember that we've always believed in political parties. You know, in Niger, the junta has taken over, and for 2 years, the former president is imprisoned in his basement with his wife. And the mobilization that needed to be complete for his freedom came outside of Africa instead of from Africa, and that is a problem. There's a number of countries in Africa who have been fighting for democracy, for liberty, and today we've had the junta taking over power in these countries, and they have banned political parties. Just around the north of your country, there is a constellation of countries where political parties are totally banned, and the heads of these or leaders of these political parties, prime ministers, ministers are humiliated daily. They are ridiculed. They are threatened to be exiled. They are threatened of exile. Some have been imprisoned just because they post certain things or say certain things about the junta. For example, they say there was one who said that he visited the prison and he found an opinion leader who has been imprisoned, and he was later detained. And so what I would say is that if we do not respect standards of democracy or the principles of democracy, if we do not hold our leaders accountable, as Mr. Radebe said, if we don't follow the good examples that exist, and if we do not communicate and bridge the gaps between Anglophones, Francophones, Luxophones, etc. in Africa to make an Africa a force with objectives to meet, then the African people will lose their trust. When I arrived in Ghana, I met someone yesterday, and he told me that in this country, someone won the elections with more than 1 million votes compared to his opponent. His opponent worked to regain the trust of the people, and he was able to win with more than 2 million votes as gap. And I'm talking about the current president. This means that he was able to regain the trust he lost. As we say in the Francophone world, it's not about love, it's about the proof of love. And so seriously, we need to respect democratic principles. We need to increasingly improve the lives of our citizens. We have the biggest number of poor people in the world. We have more than 30 million of youth who every year come onto the market from schools, and they are not able to find jobs. These are challenges that we need to meet in our different countries, in our different political parties, in order to give hope to the youth and to women, because the youth and women are the majority of they represent the majority of our population. And finally, I would like to say that women are 50% of our population. So if you take this 50% and you take the youth, this means that political parties, in order to gain trust or regain trust, they need to respond to the expectations of women and youth. Thank you. So there's no love, there's only proof of love. Thank you. Thank you for that.
Villanova, Excellency, Zigele said something so profound towards the end of his submission. The necessity for young people and for women to be included in this conversation. So I want to ask your thoughts on how we bring young leaders meaningfully into African party structures and eventually into policy-making processes.
It's possible. That's why we are all here. And we must understand, everyone here, that inside the political parties, there are too many issues to solve. But let me tell you, it's a process. Being a process, you cannot solve it one day to another. Young people, what they need? Confidence. They need to be sure that the government elected will work for the population and for the country. Give them confidence. Women, if you don't empower the women in Africa, you will not have the domestic economy progressing and helping the country. We must empower the woman. But how the women come to politics, it's cultural, it's difficult in Africa. I will share my experience in my country. In my office, a bit more than 50% of my cabinet are women. We achieve. But in the parliament, we approved a law, 60%, 40%. But we did not achieve a bit more than 20%. Why? How can women come to politics? In the political party, you have long meetings over the night. Do you think a woman, mother, spouse, she will attend these meetings? Sometimes. But she will not be a complete part as a member of the political party. How can she be elected deputy in the parliament? How can you achieve the 40%? It's very difficult. So I think we have to empower the woman economically, socially, and politically. If not, we will not achieve. The same with the young people. Youth needs confidence and opportunity. But when inside the political party, it's not, the real world is not strange for anybody here. You face tendencies. It starts by small group of friends. They are together inside the party. This small group of friends, if that political party is in power, it becomes a small group of interests. Being a small group of interests, those who are not in that political party are outside. Being young or not, they don't have the same opportunities. So this is one of the things I would like to be discussed here and in the debate. We see that the political parties should not work the program just to win elections. They must make it connected with the society, socially, economically, and make a program that they can stay there. To finalize, in my country, we celebrate 50 years independence last July 12th, and we have an experience of democracy of about 36 years in democracy. Every parliament mandate is 4 years. It means that we are almost about 9 mandates. There is not one political party that repeated his mandate. Every time we are in cohabitation, we are changing the political parties. That's why, as soon as I said in the first question, you get in power, you disconnect from your party members and from the population. And all of us, we know that the political members and voters, they shift from parties. It's not a question of ideology. They shift because of lack of opportunities and other things. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Your Excellency. And unfortunately, in the interest of time and conscious of where our leaders have to be right after this, I'm going to ask one last question for all of us to answer. Now, if each of you were to mentor the next generation of party leaders on the continent of Africa, what is one principle you would ask them to uphold above all else? Your Excellency Farah, we'll start off with you, and then we'll end with Excellency Villanova when this round is done. So I'll ask the question again. It's the one last question to all of you. If you were to mentor the next generation of party leaders in Africa, what would be the one principle you would ask of them to uphold above everything else? Your Excellency Farah, you may go ahead. Thank you.
Okay, thank you so much. Above everything, I would say we should uphold the word holistic prosperity. Our team says from politics to prosperity, but we rather use the holistic prosperity. We mean economic prosperity, social prosperity and political prosperity. Social prosperity is about quality services, including education and other social services, and social justice. So if we work on this, I hope we can build the capacity of the youth so that we can get a very capable and strong leaders in the future. When we say economic prosperity, we mean ensuring shared prosperity for all. When we say political prosperity, we mean strengthening multinational unity, enhancing or building constitutional democracy, and ensuring positive peace. Positive peace is different from negative peace. And when we say social prosperity, we should also consider building the capacity of the youth. So for this, we need to do three things. The first one is we should focus on education by providing quality education for our youngsters and incorporate democratic values in the curriculum so that they can internalize democratic values and principles starting from early childhood. The second one is to provide continuous training to the youth. And the third one is to give an opportunity to lead. They shouldn't be only future leaders, but we need to engage them, involve them starting from now. So for this, we need to ensure holistic prosperity. So I think we should say again and again, we African political parties should commit to shared prosperity over partisan gain, building legacies measured not in electoral victories, but in the livelihoods improved. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much. Your Excellency, Jeff Radebe, your thoughts.
My one word will be patriotism. We need patriots who must learn not to find jobs, but to be job creators. We need patriots who will not be corrupt, but to service this great continent. We need patriots who will not sell out their country for few pieces of silver, but dedicated patriots who must take Africa as the #1 priority. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Excellence Sigele. Donc, la question, c'est si vous deviez encadrer la prochaine génération en ce qui concerne la politique
of political leaders in Africa, what principle will you ask them to uphold beyond all else? Thank you. What I would say from experience is to always work considering the political time as a long enough time. That means they should not transform their political parties into an electoral machine, but to work on long-term programs. They need to work for the long term. But I would also like to reiterate the fact that we do not need to build illusions. No political party in any country can ensure prosperity alone. And that is why I would like to tell the youth that if they have to retain one word from everything I'm saying, they need to always take into account African integration. Look at what is happening in the United States today. They are inviting countries individually. They're saying, I want iron from you, I want gold from you, I want bauxite from you, I want, and then you go, and then the next day they call someone else and then they tell them, I want this from you. But Africans are not asked, what do you want for Africa? And so, what our founding fathers said, what President Kwame Nkrumah said, and we are here in the capital of the country where Nkrumah was born. And if we need to retain one thing, it is that no one will be able to prosper alone. And so the agenda, the vision of the building of the United States of Africa needs to be the combat, the fight of the youth, and even those of us who are old, because there's no other way. We are 54 countries in Africa. There are some that are rich, there are those that are poor, but all of these countries have resources. The first wealth is men and women. We have 54 ministers of foreign affairs, 54 ministers of economy, 54 ministers of defense, 54 ministers of finance, 54 ministers. We have ministers. And so we need to work together. We need to work together while bearing in mind that Africa is one nation. That is my conviction. I started working at 21 years old, and then I became Prime Minister at 44. And I've been in the opposition since 2005, and I've been fighting to ensure that we are able to improve leadership. But what do we observe today? We observe that there are so many countries in Africa where there have been different power changes. There are different countries where the simple idea of saying no or being in the opposition is unbelievable. And so those who are ahead should hold the hands of those who are behind. And this can only be done when we have a holistic vision of Africa. And so I see this as a sharing of the ideas of Africa. Otherwise, the fight will not allow Africa to become rich. Say Ghana has a GDP, a certain amount of GDP, and Togo or Burkina Faso, neighboring Togo or Burkina Faso, has another amount in terms of GDP, and that of Ghana's is higher than those of the neighbors. You realize that Ghana will have a problem because those neighboring countries will do everything possible to come to Ghana to seek greener pastures. That is what I'd like to. This is the message I'd like to leave to African youth. Thank you.
For this opportunity. Definitively, the new generations of political parties in Africa must change. I believe the new political plans, the new government programs has to look for the benefit of people. Why? Population in Africa, the statistics say, are growing, will grow. The number of voters in Africa is reducing. People need to see the benefits of the government and of the political parties. So I conclude saying people matters. For the next generation, look to the people and make things for them. Thank you.
Ladies and gentlemen, I have had His Excellency Carlos Manuel Villanova, President of the Democratic Republic of Sao Tome and Principe, joining us. I have had His Excellency Ibrahim Adam Farah, Deputy Prime Minister, Ethiopia, and of course, Vice President of the Prosperity Party on this panel. I have had the Special Envoy of President Cyril Ramaphosa in the person of His Excellency Jeff Radebe joining us. Last, definitely not the least, the former Prime Minister, Central African Republic, Excellency Martin Sekele, has been our fourth panelist. Ladies and gentlemen, a round of applause for our panelists who have indeed set the tone for the next 3 days. Thank you very much, gentlemen. Merci beaucoup. Thank you so much. We have to take a photo, gentlemen. Please center stage for a photo. Madam Benedicta, if you could kindly join our esteemed panelists. Yes, please do that. Where is our official photographer? Thank you very much. Please quickly center stage for our panelists. Where's our official photographer? Benedicta, you are our photographer. Now our photographer is gone. All right. Oh, over there. Okay, thank you. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. And now, ladies and gentlemen, that has set the tone for our next panel. Yes, indeed, we have quite a number of panels over the next 3 days, but I hope that I do have your attention as I am inviting the Political Parties and National Development Planning panel onto the stage now. And this will be moderated or chaired by Alhaji Osman Fode Yansana, who is the leader of the All People's Congress Party delegation and former ambassador of Sierra Leone to Ghana. Can I please have our chair joining us on the stage, please? Our chair. Thank you so much. This panel will have on it Mr. David Ofosu Dorte, Senior Partner, AB and David Africa. It will have Mr. Daudu Abdallah Mohammed, President, the Orange Party. And last not the least, it will also have the National Chairman of Progressives Congress in the person of Professor Nintawe Goshwe Yeluwatda joining us on stage. I hand you now over to your moderator. Maybe you can move to the center as we don't have to do it. But they're still joining.
Thank you so much. This is our second panel discussion. And the theme of the panel discussion is political parties and developmental planning. It's much related to the one we did previously, our first panel. But this one will also expand our level of understanding on the role of political parties in shaping developmental planning that expands to their national horizon, to national integration and even global development activities. So we are going to have about 4 speakers today. His Excellency, Lord Mayor Emma Enoku, Deputy National Chair of All Progressive Congress. The second speaker will be Mr. Daudu Abdullah Mohammed, President of Orange Party. The third speaker will be Mr. David Ofosu Dorte, Senior Partner, AB and David Africa. And the fourth speaker, Alhaji Osman Fode, leader of the All People's Congress Party and the former ambassador of Sierra Leone to Ghana. So I will be chairing this panel discussion. My name is Bikila Horisa, Minister and Head of the Public and International Relations Division of Prosperity Party, Ethiopia. Thank you, the speakers, and thank you, the audience, for seriously attending to this very important and short panel discussion. the key points of our panel discussion will be the role of political parties in shaping national development planning and then adding value to the regional and global development activities. So in this regard, I would say, for instance, the political parties can be architects of development, architects of the future fate of Africa, and can go beyond. So in that sense, political parties should be oriented towards shaping the development activities and development visions and strategies of their respective countries. In doing so, I strongly believe that they have to carefully address the developmental issues into their manifestos in such a way that the manifestos they prepare for elections should, in one way or another, deeply give due attention to national vision, national strategies, and also regional integration, African development in such a way that their home-based development plans and strategies can add value to African development as well as add value to the world development. I strongly believe that ideologies should also, in one way or another, affect the developmental approach of countries. However, I strongly believe that political parties should not be constrained by the ideologies they follow, as long as the development activities are well addressed in such a way that outcomes and impacts are given due attention to. Political ideologies should not constrain political parties. Particularly African political parties are seen to be affected by the ideological lines they follow that in one way or another affect the development approach that they implement. And generally, when we consider political parties and their role in national development planning, the institution building aspect of the political parties is also very important. So institutions that are competent, neutral, and also in one way or another built in terms of human resource, clear vision, structures, and procedures, and technological support will have a good chance of transgressing electoral cycles and leadership horizons and be passed to the next generation without being seriously affected due to political crisis and electoral cycles. Generally, I say political parties in one way or another should be oriented towards the far future and go beyond the horizons of the narrow circles of their operation and think in terms of long vision, strategies, and also adding value to Africa and the global development initiatives. So we are going to talk about these issues in general, and I will be having the four speakers here who are renowned and highly experienced senior speakers. And I would have a very general question to all of them.
Mr. Chair, if I can quickly just interrupt by bringing you one more. I bring you one more panelist kindly that I skipped. Honorable Amadou Mam Diop is here. And Honorable Amadou Diop is the former president and speaker of the National Assembly of Senegal. He's also joining this panel. So now you have a full panel.
Okay, that's interesting.
You're welcome, sir.
Yeah, we'll be having the points from the three of them now. So I will have a very general question to all of you so that you can briefly reflect. Can we say political parties can be architects of national development and architects of African development? So how do you see that? How can political parties play their role of strategic visioning and strategic planning in such a way that their activities can be, a good sign of national development that adds value to the economic and social developments of their citizens that can span beyond their activities and add value to the African development activities? Would you say something on these points, please?
I speak here on behalf of a party, the All People's Congress Party, which is the current opposition party in Parliament, Sierra Leone. Let me start by conveying on behalf of our party deep condolences to the families of the helicopter crash victims and to the government and people of Ghana for this tragic loss. We share in your sorrows. Let me also say that political parties are vehicles for getting power. For us in Sierra Leone, it is clearly defined in our constitution that political parties are intended to shape the destiny of the country, to also ensure that they participate in elections, both national and local. So in the process, political parties have their own manifestos. They have their own philosophies expressed in those manifestos, their visions, etc. But it also comes to the point where development of the country, the sub-region, is mandatory. You don't narrow down your perception of what development is within the confines of your manifestos. The country needs development. Therefore, we believe that all the political parties should ensure that development takes precedence, national development takes precedence over the narrow manifestos they have presented to the people. In our own case, we all know the difficulties accessing our airport. We had a project, a plan that would have provided an easy access to the country. In the center of this country, there was a plan to establish a new airport. But the government that succeeded us changed the plan and decided that they would rather provide a bridge from the city to the airport. It failed woefully. So what we are saying is that in Parliament, maybe the best thing is for political parties to come together and establish a national plan that will be supported by Parliament so that any incoming government will be unable to make any changes that will affect the development of the country. When we came to power 10 years before this government, the current government, we ensured that all the ministers stayed in place for at least 3 months so that incoming ministers would learn from what they would need in their new offices. So there was a smooth transition. And in the process, we ended up in moving ahead and not looking backwards. Any development that took place after the Civil War was done through us. Then followed these 7 or 8 years, there has been very little development because changes were to be effected to ensure that what we had done will fall down. We are asking that the manifestos are important. They are mandates of the political parties. But the development of the nation should supersede any narrow development aspirations inside the manifestos of the various political parties. So to the best of our understanding of this topic, we believe that Africa needs political education. we need to educate ourselves to ensure that at the end of the day, we provide leadership in a fast developing continent. We also believe that we have to build the political capacity of our young generation, young people, so that they will participate in the development of policies. They should be part of the policy making and not just be implementers of these policies. We also believe that development does not necessarily mean moving in the direction that your party specifically intends you to, but that the development will affect not only your party, but the country as well as the sub-region and the continent as a whole. So on behalf of my party, we want to assure this conference that it is poised to move Africa to a plane where political parties will not be just observers after they would have won an election. They will be participants in the implementation of development plans they had crafted. Because leaderships of various political parties may not even be part of the implementation process. They are not ministers. The executive members of political parties are not ministers. Ministers are chosen by the government, by the head of state. And they have very little to offer to the party. The party believes in winning elections. They are not party to the implementation of the manifestos they have been able to prepare on behalf of their political parties.
Thank you so much. So I would now give the floor to Mr. Daudu to say a few words on this issue.
Distingués invités, chers participants, salam alaikum. Louange à Dieu, que la prière et la paix soient sur le prophète, sa famille et ses compagnons. En fait, je m'exprime au nom du parti Orange. Mais avant de répondre à votre question, je dois d'abord m'acquitter d'un devoir moral, me rejoindre à mes prédécesseurs pour présenter mes condoléances.
To present my condolences to the people in the government of Ghana, to the families of the victims of the tragedy that happened last week. I'd like to also thank the organizers of this summit. I thank them for inviting me to participate. You agree with me that before talking about policy and national development plan, political parties and national development planning, I must first talk about political parties in terms of planning itself. Political parties have always had the ambition, but usually they are not well governed. There is a constant tension between the need to meet the objectives of the people within the short mandates and then also meet long-term objectives. Usually efforts are focused on short-term activities to the detriment of medium and long-term ones. And if political parties want to conveniently prepare themselves for the future, they need to invest in their internal structure. Their structures and their processes need to reflect the political landscape which is constantly changing. This means there is a need for an assessment of the environment, political environment, in order to adapt to the changes. Political parties need not present themselves as parties without vision. Political parties need to adapt themselves and transform themselves in order to meet the needs of their citizens. Otherwise, they will be ousted, or they risk being ousted. They also need to take into account social media and other technologies that help the citizens to express themselves. These tools are very important, yet they can also pose problems to political parties if they do not adapt. This is why there's a call for political parties to quickly adapt to new ways of working. The use of a roadmap and a step-by-step methodology is an approach that will help political parties to build their organizational capacities and adapt their decision-making in order to gain the trust of citizens and improve their own image. They need not to be seen only as an electoral machine, but also an instrument of good governance. The process of planning needs to be carried out very well. There's a need for strategic planning where political parties define short-term, medium-term, and long-term activities that are attainable. There's a need to define national development initiatives on the basis of in a participatory way. This is how political parties can integrate in their vision national development planning and also development faced with new trends. Thank you.
Good remarks you made. And may I now give the floor to Mr. David Ofusu.
Thank you very much. I represent the national chairman of the All Progressives Congress in Nigeria, Professor Ntawe Yewada. He is the leader and the chairman of the All Progressives Congress in Nigeria, a party that came into power in 2015. And the belief of the All Progressives Congress is that party politics cannot be separated from national development and prosperity. Party politics is rather a group of persons who are supposed to be service agents, and have had their solutions on how to make sure that these services are rendered unto the people. And they now, because they are people with identical formula on how to solve the national problems, they form themselves into a party, and they give the solutions they call a manifesto or their ideology on how to solve these issues, on how to solve the national challenges and problems, and that way they will be differently identified. As you have parties, different parties. In Nigeria, we have the People's Democratic Party, we have the All Progressives Congress, we have the National Development Party, we have all these parties. And how the electorate identify them is by their manifesto, the promises they made on how to solve the challenges and problems of the country. And once the electorate look at their manifesto, they will be able to say, okay, these ones, these are the ways they are going to solve our challenges. These are the ways, and that gives them opportunity on how to select the party they want to be in governance so that they can know how to solve those problems. Though, apart from these manifestos and ideologies, we found out before APC came into governance in 2015, there was political fluidity in Nigeria. All parties there was no ideology, there was no manifesto. Because everybody, whether you are in party A or B or C, you can move from one party to the other in the night and contest the election the next morning without even being identified into any political ideology or manifesto. And this is what APC, when they came in, they said, no, they want to distinguish themselves from this. We want to be known with manifesto. We want to be known with our ideology. We want people to know what we have come to do in governance, so that at the end of the day, people will be able to highlight the achievements of the APC or our party. And when we came into power in 2015, the APC introduced what we called the Progressives Institute, because they knew that the problem of governance was nobody was educated about the issue of governance. Somebody will move from PDP to APC and contest the election. He doesn't have nothing concerning him with the manifesto of APC. So the Progressive Institute was introduced so that leaders will be able to be educated on the manifestos of the party. Leaders will be able to go through what it takes to be a leader and the do's and don'ts. They will know how to cross the T's and dot the I's in leadership. That was the essence of the Leadership Institute, the Progressive Institute that was introduced. And this Progressive Institute will take leaders, those who are supposed to contest elections, are supposed to spend some time with them in learning the art of leadership, in service delivery, which is uppermost in the issue of leadership. Service delivery. People who want to lead are supposed to be service delivery agents. And this is what they are taught in the Progressives Institute. Again, political parties are supposed to be like a family. People that understand themselves. And you are supposed to know members of your family. You're supposed to know the professions, the different professions, the needs of the professionals, the needs of the youths, the needs of the women, the needs of all the categories that make up the political party. And to make sure that this is enhanced, we introduced what we call the e-registration. The e-registration exercise is the electronic registration exercise. It is an electronic system of registering people where the biometric of every member of the party is contained, so that each time you want to get in touch, you want to convene a meeting, you will simply go to your tablet, your phone, or your laptop and put in the keywords, and all the members, their profession, their location, and every information you would need about them will appear. It helps you to run the party as a family, especially members of a ward, members of a unit, members of a local government. With one hand, you can look at them and see. When you want to convene meeting, simple, go put in the listing and put the invitation so everybody will come. And it makes the political party, we are trying to see that the political party is run like a family, so that everybody will be involved in the process of governance. You know, people who are in leadership are supposed to attend meetings once they are called meeting, whether you were a minister, whether you were a president, whatever office you occupy, once there's a meeting you attend, where people will sit down as a family and talk to you. If there are areas they feel you are not getting it right, because you are representing the interest of the party, people will talk to you. These areas, we don't understand it. These areas, we don't understand it. And that was the essence of the e-registration, so that everybody will have opportunity to indirectly contribute to the governance of governance of the country and their affairs. Apart from that, the APC, to make sure that people are very involved in the governance and the prosperity of the country, during elections, women are given free forms. They give women free forms so that they can participate. Not only they give them free form to participate, they also escalated a bill to the National Assembly. The bill is to make sure that women have what we call free seats. Considering the cultural limitations that our women experience in Africa, they can never contest or compete favorably with men. So the APC said the easiest way to make sure, but the largest population of our country, that is the women who are denied participation in governance, the only way to make them to participate was to make sure that we give women free seats, some number of seats that are free for women alone in the government, so that in the National Assembly, that free seat will give the women opportunity to bring in their persons, the people they feel that can represent them in the National Assembly, so that they have say in the discussion of the affairs of the country. You know? So apart from giving them the free forms to come and contest elections, and contest free nomination forms to contest elections, we also escalated a bill to the National Assembly for women to have free seats, both in government and the national legislature. Then on the issue of youth, we are very aware that the youths, because of limitations of the finances, we cut down the cost of nomination forms for the youths to 50%. If the privileged people are paying 100% for a form, the youths pay, they cut their own down to 50%. This is to allow youths purchase forms and compete favorably. Apart from giving them 50% slash, the party also encourages them in making sure that some funds are made available. The funds are made available for them to contest favorably in the election. And the president, to also encourage our president of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, our present president, who is President Bola Ahmed Tinubu, GCFR, also provided what we call the free students loan. This student loan will make indigent people who cannot pay their fees to be able to go to school at all levels. And at the end of their schooling, they can start liquidating these loans, so that it will not be lack of funds that deny you education. In that context, in that way, people will be able to have education to participate in the government of their country. So our party, the All Progressives Congress, makes sure, because the major thing that guarantees participation of people in the government of their country is once they are educated, they have knowledge of what is happening. And we are aware of this, and we are going all the length to make sure that all spectrum of the society, including the indigent people, the indigent people are also involved. Time would not permit me, because I've been warned of time repeatedly, but I can tell you the All Progressives Congress in Nigeria is running a very full cadre program to make sure that everybody is incorporated and part of the process of governance, so that there will be prosperity in the country. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much. Would you please pass to our other speaker to reflect on the topic? Yeah, generic words.
Merci, M. Bikela. Merci, mes co-débatteurs. Permettez-moi d'abord de marquer notre solidarité et présenter nos condoléances au peuple ghanéen et aux autorités de ce pays. D'abord, le président du parti
I'm representing the APR, Alliance pour la République, party of the President Macky Sall, been in power since 2012 to 2024. When you are elected, then you need to respond to the needs of the people. And in order to attain this objective, we need to do a certain number of things. First of all, we need to move from partisan affairs. We need to recognize the achievements of the previous government, install a peaceful environment in order to be able to work effectively. And after, when a political party obtains power, they need to start with strategic planning, which is very important and which transcends the years, which transcends political parties and regimes. And then from there on, we can start doing productive investments and also investing in human capital. What we did when we came into power, we are a liberal party, but we governed different parties, socialists from the left, communists, and others. We worked with all these structures from 2012 to 2024. We worked together with these blocks. And then when COVID hit, we consulted, we convened dialogues, and we discussed with all these political parties. And this was done in order to better respond to the needs of our populations. We also implemented a plan which we call the Senegal Emergent Plan, the Senegal Emergent Plan. You know, before COVID, we had attained a growth of more than 6%. And this plan helped us to modernize our infrastructure. Dakar changed, Senegal changed. We had highways constructed, several infrastructural projects were undertaken. We increased access to water and promoted agriculture. And this led to food self-sufficiency. There was a need for stability, and we're able to ensure this thanks to the vision of the President Macky Sall. We also associated, you know, sometimes the plan is not a particular political party's plan. It is a plan that was developed by the administration. And so I believe what is the most important thing is the medium and long-term plans. We had a plan for 2035 rather. And so the most important thing is to recognize the elements of this plan or these plans that exist. If there is a need for changes, these changes need to be made. For example, in our country and in many other African countries, after new regimes gain power, they ignore previous plans. And today all our indicators are in the red line. And we are in a difficult economic situation because we usually tend to ignore the achievements or the works of our predecessors. I think that we need to build on the achievements of our predecessors in order to attain or meet the needs of the people in order to ensure full development. Thank you, and I would like to give you back the floor.
So I will now get back to His Excellency Al-Haji. So when you develop your manifestos, how can you, embed the issues of vision, national development, and agenda, AU Agenda 2063 into your manifestos so that your manifestos can, pass generations and add value to the developmental initiatives you plan into your government?
Just like I said, development has to be cross-party in nature because we all have the interests of the nation at heart. We may have ideological differences, but the national interest is of primordial importance. That is why I would suggest that the political parties come together. And one area they meet is Parliament, so that national development plans are enacted into law, so that an incoming government will not, using its own discretion, squash a project that will develop the country. Like I said, we were planning to build an airport in the center of our city, of our country, because accessing the present airport is a difficulty because we don't have the bridge as an option. But the government, in its own wisdom, when they came, they removed everything. What I think we did when we came to power, what I think they should have done is to follow our own footsteps. We made several bridges that were initiated by them. We constructed roads that were initiated by the previous government. And in the process, development did take place. So these plans are not to be one-sided. It has to be made by the political parties in power and those in opposition. This will create an enabling atmosphere for continuity and development.
Thank you so much. Now, let me get back to His Excellency Daoudou. Do ideologies, political ideologies, shape the developmental approach that a political party would follow? So how can ideologies shape development lines and development approach? Can you say something on this issue?
Je pense que pour que les idéologies politiques doivent d'abord, dans un pays, les partis politiques doivent dépasser les clivages idéologiques dans un premier temps pour pouvoir répondre aux aspirations de la population. Ça, c'est une chose. Et ça a été dit ce matin que j'ai même pris l'exemple de l'Éthiopie, qu'ils ont intégré certains membres de l'opposition dans le gouvernement. Ça implique le dépassement des clivages politiques. Et ensemble, parce que chaque parti politique œuvre pour le bien-être du pays et de la population. Tous les partis politiques. Et aujourd'hui, pour mettre une approche par rapport au plan de développement, il faut que tous les acteurs soient impliqués. Les partis politiques, les secteurs privés, la société civile, tous les acteurs. Ensemble, ils vont former cette vision pour pouvoir, parce que les partis politiques...
Political parties, usually when they are in opposition, they are no longer considered actors of the development process. It is only the party in power that leads government actions, but they also need to take into account the thoughts and opinions of their populations and civil societies and civil society. But usually what we see is that parties in power do not take into account the concerns of the population nor of the opposition. And so we need to take this into account. Thank you. Thank you. I think we need training within the political parties. Add value to skills in order to promote the political institution. This is very important because there are so many people who enter politics thinking that, usually in our African countries, politics is seen as what it is. It's not. So we need to ensure training in order to improve on the skills of the people who are part of our political parties.